Hello, everybody. Welcome to another discussion. Today, I'm with Diego, and he has recently become a father. And he's also developing as a Christian. So we thought it was like a good topic to see what it means to be a Christian father and to grow in your faith and in your responsibility at the same time during these crazy times, because we can't forget the crazy times that we live in. So, yeah, uh, how do you want to introduce this idea of fatherhood?
Yeah. First of all, thanks for having me. Yeah, it's been indeed a turbulent time. It's been a very beautiful time, but it's full of very complex trade-offs. So I'm kind of looking to calibrate what it means to be an example, to be the head, so to say, and how um, to what extent, to what intensity do I want to turn up that knob, and do I want to give structure, and how much of it is letting loose and letting be. So I'm also, as you mentioned, indeed trying to grow spiritually, and trying to learn to be a son in a way, and that's not without challenge. So it's been very present for me to say, and it's getting better, but accepting the yoke, and because it's light, should be light, but it doesn't make it any less scary to accept it. So so that's really going on, and but yeah, so I've been trying to live on more faith to take that step and know that I should not fear. But it is very present to me that also things are fleeting, and efforts are fleeting, and we are just our efforts and our ideas of what we're supposed to be. Say I have an idea of how this household should look like and how it should be organized, and maybe I want to be a good example in that. And I know that showing is much better than telling. But I am also not perfect, and my efforts are going to be very imperfect in the process. So I'm trying to find what that. Well, it's gonna. I'm kind of accepted that it's gonna be a process, but I'm in the process of seeing. Okay, what does that mean? How's that gonna look like? And can I take it on in a way that's sustained, right? Uh, because yeah, like well, like many New Year's resolutions, new beginnings, and very strict paths forward often don't always go as straight as we think they should, and that sometimes that's even for the better. So I'm in the process of finding and making an idea, yet learning to be flexible with how the outcome looks like, and that's tough. Yeah, it's just an ongoing process. So that's where I'm at.
So, yeah, I found it interesting that you included learning how to be a son. So, I actually want to delve into that first.
Yep.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, it's I think um, we so I've been thinking a lot about the role that fatherhood plays in identity shaping. And when I said how can I be a son, I think of when I'm trying to transform and become a better person, an image and yeah, I guess a meme, so to say, a Christian meme is to think of that how God looks at you. What is that version of yourself? What is that? Who is that guy? That Diego? How God looks at me? How where I should be.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, hold
and
on, because
yeah,
that's interesting, right? So, can you expand a bit on what that even means?
yeah, yeah. So it's Um, so there is a when I think of that, what I mean is I think of I'm thinking about I'm reflecting on myself and I'm thinking a little bit. I would say maybe an analogy of distance would be helpful, like where I am and where I could be, and what that could look like, and that kind of. So I'm thinking practically, very practically, in like what would that guy do if
Hmm.
how would that guy live? How would that guy eat? How would guy how often would he how disciplined would he be? How faithful would he be? How active would he be in communities? How would he relate to his wife?
Hmm.
How would he relate to his daughter? How would we talk to people? And how often would he read? Very practical things. And I'm thinking, how if and maybe that's also feeble and very superficial because it's my idea of how that would look like. Maybe if I'm thinking, well, if I would be better, how would it be? Um, but it's kind of an action. So the how does God look at me is a helpful kind of frame to start aiming upwards. And maybe I'm not going to be optimal and but it's going to be hopefully generally in a direction that is more up. So it's a kind of analogy or a way of thinking that helps me cast that kind of lantern somehow forwards ahead of me.
So let me translate that. So
Yeah.
you're trying to see what kind of fruits God the Father would desire of you,
Yeah.
and then you're basically setting the table with all the fruits. Is
Yeah,
that a
yeah. I think I'm reflecting on what kind of tree would produce that fruit,
Mhm.
and do I have and what of my agency can I employ or how much of my spiritual energy and also physical energy can I deploy into that mold? Can I participate in the molding of that? And can that then eventually, well, and ye shall know them by their fruit. Like really, is it in a very sensible way, like if I pay attention to my surroundings, is it effectively is it going in the right direction? Am I getting the kind of signals that are saying, hey, this is indeed going in that direction and then showing a positive reflection on the people around me, or is it missing the mark? Am I sinning? So that's um, how I'm, I guess, subconsciously experiencing it because I don't have these thoughts explicitly all the time.
So I actually heard a song yesterday, and it somewhat blew my mind. And the song was saying, "I desire in my heart to know what is in your heart." Right? And so, what's in the heart of the Father? Right? It's not the fruits, right? It's not the
Mm,
tree. It's what He
mm,
wants for you, right?
yeah,
The things that He finds important for you, right? The things that He would value to see in you,
yeah,
right? And and from there, right, if those things are in your heart as well, right, if you adopt them, if you inherit them,
mhm,
then these things, they will start shaping you, right, because they will light things up, they will lift things up in your environment as important,
yeah,
and they will put things down as unimportant, right?
yeah,
So being a son is doing what the Father desires of you, right? And
yeah,
he desires you to be a son, right? He doesn't
mm,
desire that you go left or right, right? Although
yeah,
that's part of it, right? But
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think you're right, and you made me think of the Eucharist. So theosis, I think that idea is very powerful. I think that frame is also very helpful. It's like, hey, God enter in me and shape me. shape my desire. And that's a prayer I've had a lot. Like, God, can you help me desire you in the eros sort of way? Like, can I have you present by my hand? Can I think of you more often? Can
Mhm.
you, shape my interest so that you are more interesting to me, and that thought is available to me more often, because I falter and I just get so addicted to so many things and so distracted. And it's yeah, and indeed it is that can is there a way that is just naturally calling to me, more organically than my feeble attempts at focusing at it can do it, like, so that's like, yeah.
Me marching in order,
Yes,
right?
indeed. Yeah, 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 indeed.
So the way you phrased it is how God looks at me, right?
Yeah.
And you can maybe like fine tune that to like how he looks through you, right? How he
Mm.
sees the world through you,
Yeah.
right? So in him we move and have our being, right? So we can also be in him, right?
Mm.
where we adopt, we put on his way of being, right?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
So um yeah, I wanted to connect it to another thing you said. You said our ideas are fleeting,
Mm.
right? So there's a, well, what's God, right? Well, God is eternal, right? So he's the
Unchanging, the one.
opposite
Yeah.
of fleeting. Um, so what are the things that are not fleeting, right? The, the things that are not fleeting are the ways that we find the truth, right? That we live in
Yeah.
the truth, right? And then the expression of the truth, right? The fruits of the truth, they are fleeting, they are changing, right? But the way that we get there is not. So like, how are you? Yeah, like what is your conception of the fleeting nature, and how
Yeah.
are you engaging with that?
Well, so I've been reading Beowulf. I read Beowulf recently, and it's about this guy who's very strong, and he's a hero. He's the most badass guy on the block, and he's generous, and he puts himself at risk for other people, and he does it. It's funny because there's a genuine kind of respect for kinship and brotherhood, and establishing brotherhood. There's a lot about laying bonds with other folk, and linking tribes, but there's also this vainglory to it. It's fame. He wants to be the most known thane in the land, and he wants to be glorious. He wants to get glory, and he does glorious things, and they are revered. And he is revered and known and famous, and that's like the highest thing in that kind of sub, uh, bubble, that universe where he inhabits. But he is, and yet he is a really good example for his people. He eventually becomes king, but when he dies, the glory dies with him, and the people cannot continue their continued, like, it's not a continuous reciprocating, I would say, like, it's not sustainable. It doesn't survive. It dies out. So the hero, in a way, the idea and the story of the hero is powerful, but if it's not instituted, like in a way of living, in a practice, in a structure, then it's gonna be short lived. And no matter how well intended and how mighty the hero, um, it's gonna be short lived. And that's, I think of that in my own life. Uh, yeah, a New Year's resolution is a great example of that. So hey, I'm gonna try by my own strength to adopt a new way of being, and I'm gonna try to hold on to that with dear life. I'm gonna try to force it, and I'm gonna change my life, and it's gonna be good. And from this time onwards, I'm gonna sleep all these hours and train so hard, and it's gonna be, I'm gonna be so clean with how we eat, and exactly, we're gonna march. But that doesn't mean that I'm gonna ever get a following, nor people should follow me. Like
Follow
so.
in my footsteps.
Indeed. So I and I don't need comrades. I need a family. Like so, so that's present to me. So that's how I think we are fleeting. And that translates into, okay, how can we make it not fleeting then? And how's that look in a family? Is it how can we, what rituals can we invite or institute in the comings and goings of the family life that can constrain and make a living garden out of you know life. Can we, that it's maintained, that it's bordered, that it's protected, but yet that it's blooming and teeming with life? How's that look like? And I think ritual is a key component of that. Yet the ritual without the story is very hard to maintain. So, so I yeah, that's that. There's just a lot to that. So I have many examples of how that lives in my life and my family's life and friends of family's life. But that's, I've been kind of trying to reflect on how that would look like in our life practically.
So the thing that came up for me was memento mori. Right? And remember to die, that you're mortal.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, right, like that changes the perspective of what you're doing a little, right? The other thing that came up for me is like you want to have the arc, right? Like that which persists between generations. It's the seed that proceeds, and you have to care for that, right? Like you have to invest in that, and what does that even mean, right? So you mentioned ritual and story in the context of family. And you use the word needs with family, which is like, I guess, like the telos, right? Like there's a what you're serving, right? The manifestation of the family. What is a wholesome family?
Yeah.
What is required? So I see the ritual in the way that you were describing it a little bit like bones, and then you're like, yeah, but I need flesh, right?
Hmm.
Like there needs to be life around the bones, right?
Yeah.
And I connect it to the story, right? And then I want to maybe add like a third part, because that's what Christians do, right? We just blow some life into that as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Indeed, there needs to be there needs to be a way of finding inspiration and being inspired by. So the ritual is a result of the, like, it doesn't need to be ossified, but it can become ossified, but it's like the structure, as you said, it's the bones. um but we cannot grasp it for the beauty that it's trying to encapsulate and that it's representing if I don't get the context about how that came to be and why is it that way. And we're so good at rebelling against the bones. We're eager to just fight and whine against the dogma. Like, we're so, yeah, that's such a important part of modern life and modern, half a centimeter depth philosophy, outlook on life is just, it's just me, and anything that is trying to constrain me is bad. But if we go to a more mature way of that, yeah, but it needs to be inspired. Without, if if there's not something that you can like latch onto, it's like, oh wow, that's a lot, that's great, that's tell me about that. Why? And I think, for example, like one of the examples that I had that is very present to me, it's an example. I have a really good friend. So in Venezuela, I come from Venezuela, and his family is they're immigrants from Lebanon. But that was his grandpa that emigrated from yeah, from Lebanon, and this guy had this insane insane life. It was just awe-inspiring, like just literally escaping at the jaws of death and hunger and political persecution and having nothing and just fleeing in a boat somewhere without, without anything and not knowing where they were going, and then yet having the wherewithal to build and arrive and adapt and learn a language and just build and companies and and have foundation and then take care of the family and be a patriarch, which is what I've been thinking a lot. What is a good patriarch? And this guy was the patriarch. Like, and this guy's alive. Like, this guy is like alive and kicking. Um, but now the second generation um, has doesn't even know this story. They don't know where they come from. They don't know hardship. They live very comfy, cushy lives in the first world, and it was all on the back of this great, generous, hardworking, amazing, patriarch and the people around him. And I'm thinking, yeah, there needs to be a way that this story needs to be told. This story needs to be alive for the people in this family, and we can profit from it, thankfully. But if the story is not known and not communicated and shared, generation to generation, then there's gonna be no way to get perspective on where we are, because we're just like very myopic. So we just are, and we can only process things that are here. We can forget where we came from, why we came from, and how it is that we're here. So that's I'm thinking, how would the family story look like, and what kind of threads can I pick up on that would create that whoa, that you need that whoa effect, because otherwise the kids are not going to pay attention. Like, it's just not gonna fly.
So the Twitter gods have been providing, and I actually recently saw a video about how the Romans honored their family. Um, so what they did is, when someone died, they would pour wax on the face, and they would make a mask, and the mask they would store them at the entrance of the villa. So every time that you would enter the house, you would see the faces of your ancestors. And then in the Kairos moments, right? So the moment that the patriarch died, they were remembered, right? So the stories were told, but not only the story of the patriarch, also the story of previous patriarchs, right? And so the identity of the family was remembered, right? This is our source. This is who we are. This is how people know us. This is how we are successful as a family, right?
Yeah.
And these kids, they would put on the masks of their ancestors, so they would adopt the identity. And the video was saying, like, it's hard, like, because their sense of self, right, like, it was annihilated, which is like modern liberal whatever. But the important part is there's a participation in the ancestry, right? And so, like,
Yeah.
I'm watching a lot of Asian stuff. They have family law, right? Also, you're a military family. You're like all of these things, right? So you have this family tradition, a way of being that the family law is serving, right? they also worship their ancestor. Ancestor worship is everywhere.
Yeah.
So even Judaism has all the forefathers, right? The church fathers, all of the church
Yep.
fathers are remembered, right?
Yep.
Because they show how we can be who we are, right? In under God, and we can proceed that identity. Where you were saying like fatherhood is shaping identity, right? So these fathers, they are shaping our identity, right? By us honoring them. And what is the distinction between that closet, right? That people keep watching? They're in the heavens.
Hmm.
They are the stars that shine light upon the earth and are our guide, our guidance. Right? They provide guidance in the world. And so, yeah, to turn that back a little bit on the family part, right? There needs it needs to be held, right? The past needs to be held, but it also needs to be um, carried over into. I'm just going to use blank slates, right?
Mhm.
But un uninitiated, the uninitiated, right? So blank in the sense that they have not
Yep.
received the revelation,
Yep.
right? And we only receive the revelation by the light of that star shining and providing us with the world, with the participation under that light, right? And then we can organize the world and see what is important, what is not important, and understand ourselves in that position, in that light, right? Um, so then the question becomes, how do you transmit that
Yeah,
light?
indeed. Yeah. How do you transmit that? I want to pick up on something you mentioned. Yeah, the annihilation. The best things in your life happen when you annihilate yourself. Like when your own idea of yourself is less present, the best things happen, and you do your best things. So that's not a bad thing. But yeah, indeed, it's that. I think you're really onto something. How to transmit that, and there needs to be, because the ritual, that kind of that ritual of the mask is very telling. It's like you adopt a new way of looking at things, and you adopt an identity. Therefore you forget yourself, and forgetting yourself means putting on a posture of humility, that accepting, of that the light is indeed coming from above. It's not just some dude. It's it is, there is something worthy in this, and then that, and I think that pattern, whether rather than me telling, this example, the kid, like, no, like, really pay attention. I think it's also a matter of doing it yourself, and living in a way that exalts that, that shows that that is honorable, and that there is value in that, and that we should do things like grandpa, to say something. And but it's a mimetic process. Like, it needs to be repeated. It needs to be like, there needs to be bite-sized examples that are embedded in common life, that just continue to echo the pattern, and like the pattern, there's more resolution to it, and you can explain more of it, but there needs to be ways to remember. And I mean, remember in like, be again, remember, like, be part of the structure again, so, but it takes a lot of wisdom. I just don't know. I think of pedagogy, just the skill to transmit, the technique to learn to teach, is not, it's not obvious, in any, it's really not simple to do that effectively, in a way that it meets the other in where they're at. So how can it have enough that you can relate to it, and yet be different enough that it calls you, that there's a calling in it. So yeah, maybe there is a little bit of that, how does God look at me, and how do I look at the child, like you could be more kid, you can do this, kiddo, like this, we can be, you and I can be, more like this.
Well, so I wanted to introduce a couple things here, right?
Yeah.
So when you put on clothes, the way they suit you, the way that they show you, is different for each person, right? So when we put on a mask, when we adopt a role, that role is going to shape us. It's going to require of us different things, even though they're the same. There's still the diversity,
Yeah.
and so you can't teach that,
Yeah.
right? Like because you don't know how the other person should be in the role, right? Because they
No.
have to figure that out. Um, so I want to connect that to something really interesting that you said, right? Like it's the adaptation. Uh, there's a humility component in there, and I understood that as humility through play,
Mm.
right? And so, like, what does that mean? Well, it's not really humility, right? Like the play is like um, loosening your need to hold on so that you can be exposed to something else and participate in it without actually necessarily having to be humble or humiliate yourself, right? It's like more like
Mm.
a fusion, right?
Yeah.
A coming together um, element, and I think that's really important, right? Because uh, especially in the modern times when we run into people, right, and we set expectations upon them, they just collapse, right? They can't handle the pressure of, well, basically uh, nullifying, right, themselves, making space for whatever needs to happen, right? Like uh, that's not a way of being that is available to them, right? And I think here the role of play is like an intermediary stage where you're not going in, because we were talking about ritual and inspiration. You're not going into the ritual in a manner in order to partake in the ritual, right? You're partaking in the ritual because the spirit that is provided by the people around you is calling you, right? And you're
Mhm.
playing along. You're playing along in the ritual,
Yeah.
but that requires of the older generation to, I was going to use the word invoke, and I'm going to replace that with invite, right?
Mhm.
Invite that spirit, right? So if that spirit is there, like the child will recognize it and it will participate it through mimicry, like you said, right? Like the
Yeah.
mimetic. Um, and so the last thing that I want to introduce, like I want to zoom out a little bit, right? So I'm like thinking of like Christmas or something, right? So you have the Christmas tree, you have the present, you have the gathering. But when we talk about the story, when we talk about properly participating in the ritual, right, we need to prepare,
Mm.
right? So the path to coming there in the right spirit, um, with the right attention, right, adopting the role that is required of you in the ritual. These things need to be attended to as well, right? Because if you just put your pick up your chair and you sit down, that's not the way it works, right? Like it has to be a holistic aspect, right? And then that creates the receptivity, right? It plows the field so that the seeds can be sown. Um, yeah, take it away.
Yeah, I you made me think of the preparation to Christmas, and that's what Advent is a ritualized preparation and looking forward to. And there's a element of keeping the importance of what's to come, and and in the effect of Christmas, the darkness, right, of the current era, and have that kind of the apocalyptic view is very helpful to give texture and directionality to the whole. Um, but yeah, indeed, the play element is how to structure that play, and I'm thinking of dancing, and like, yeah, what the hell do you know about how this is danced, how you dance this, and how does the invitation look like, and can the invitation still be, at that level that is, an invitation that can be accepted. Because again, you said it very well. You cannot it's not like you can just throw the expectation and here, and I'm going to expect you to be, Michael Phelps in a swimming pool right away. So it's it's I'm thinking in my life, it's been an effort to first off explore, like there's the play and curiosity element of what does it mean, and the current path that I'm on is like, okay, what is this, being Catholic, being Christian, mean? What is it there of value? What treasure trove is available? And can I learn to identify it, and can I adopt to that pattern? And then there, for me, the pattern of humility is very present, because like, so for me, it's been an exercise of, can I just forget myself? Can I just put my own ideas of what's supposed to be right to the side, and like just park that and just see, okay, this seems to be done this way. I will just accept it as it is, and assume and trust, that there's value, and then there's a better way of doing life there. So that I can learn, because I'm also just like the guy that was, I'm also not capable of dancing along yet, and I'm learning, what that looks like, and that has meant for me a letting go of my own preconceptions of things, and accepting that yoke, and trying to learn to dance, knowing, and it's very easy because I'm very ignorant, so I come in eyes wide open, and I'm like, I try to absorb, and I'm hoping that by walking that path, or at least trying to, I can keep some of the nuggets of like, okay, what helped click for me, and can those become their own kind of micro little game, that can be then, something that people that can be chewed on, by my wife, by my friends, by my kids, like how's that, how can that live through the way that I am, without me trying to explicitly, I'm not out to convert people directly, but it's like, it's so I'm hoping that in prostrating myself, in accepting, and just like kneeling and seeing it and looking up, and trying to learn to ebb and flow and do what is required of me, and just accept it, that I will have something that I can, that will lead itself to more ideas, or more practical ways in which that pattern can be fruitfully, and maybe hopefully playfully, re reinvigorated and recreated. Um,
So that's the emptying side.
yeah.
Where's the filling side? Is the filling side only participation, or are there like ideas that you think of yourself? Um,
Well, I think I think that's where we go to the inspiration, right? That's there needs to be content to the whole. There needs to be, yeah, I would say the sermon, I think, is the most ineffective way of of introducing change and guide us. That doesn't work. But yeah, there needs to be a little bit of explanation, right? There needs to be context and content. There needs to be an exciting story. There needs to be a pattern that can be recognized and that can be told, and hopefully that there needs to be a spark. And I think just like a good comedian remembers their good jokes and how the timing to them and the pauses and the word choice and um, the delivery is an art of itself. Like there's a toolbox that is over years, hopefully gets calibrated and improved upon and just polished so that it just comes out, perfect delivery. And there's a process of how to do that. And again, it helps to to have a general idea of the direction and but have enough flexibility to let it kind of take its own life in the other, because you can tell a joke, but you cannot so much control how the other one's going to take it. That's so yeah. I think that there's the feeling uh, comes on the side of having being creative and also purposeful in how we tell about things and how we go about yeah, describing this elephant from many angles and showing little snapshots here and there that give clues to what it's about.
so there's also an element of the future you want to provide. Like, are you engaged with that, or is that something that you will leave up to older Diego?
The future that I want to provide, you mean provide like a father provides, or you mean provide
Yeah, yeah. Like for example, right? Like you could I don't know, like go on long distance vacations. You could develop like a community
yeah,
center, right? Like there's like I guess a lifestyle, right?
yeah,
A way of being.
yeah.
Um,
No, indeed, that's very life. So that's indeed that we are, and that's been a very lovely exercise to do with my wife, and that's been I think that's alive in our family that we think, okay, like it helps that we can discuss on that level, like, hey, like, what do we want this thing to be? How's it look like? What do we do? Like, what are the things that we want to show, and what's the kind of life that we want to have, and who is involved in that life, and we are. It helps that we can have that conversation at that level because then we can also look and observe at the other patterns of other people that are living differently, and we can say more of that, less of that. And but there's indeed it's been a process of showing like how we're going to show how we live more so than telling, and that's been indeed how we're going to embed us in a community. How are we going to relate to each other? How do we talk to each other? And what kind of things do we give advice to each other? But how do we involve people around us? How often do we see our family? What kind of things do we do with our family? Is it that they visit for 2 hours and they're gone, or is that they stay over? And if they do, then how's it look like? Is that just house is organized differently, or do they join into the rituals of the family, or is it a completely new period? And how do we so to practically show, the different people in our lives and the things that are worthy in them, and the rituals that we want to, create, to make an environment that lets those relationships flourish, and make it very clear that that we're not here to just make money, survive, and continue on with life. That there's so much more to it. And yeah, I wish to show my kids, and I think we wish to show generosity, show involvement, show a real attention and compassion for each other, and wishing that kind of agapic love in the most, to the extent that we're able to do that, because that's very difficult. But can we look upon our neighbor with that love that wants the other to develop and see? Can we be practical in doing that? Yeah.
So you're kind of looking for an agapic orientation.
Yes, that's very good. Perfect.
Well, you found it. You've arrived.
Excellent.
So a way that I understood what you said is you're pruning non-essential elements, and so in a sense you're doing like a collective relevance realization, right? You're like, okay, and these you were saying I need a family, right? You're like, what makes a family, right? Like like what is relevant to the having of a family?
Yes.
And then trying to burst that, I guess, is the best word.
Yeah, and indeed, hopefully that there's a that what is the family about, that's also an identity, and that's a nesting that can happen and can ground. Because if you belong somewhere, and I think of it like very practically, just like you belong to this family, you belong to this neighborhood, you belong to this country, you belong to your extended family, that nested structure helps you position yourself and know what is up and what is down. And also, if you become unmoored, and you that is something that can help anchor you back, and also get the most out of the new information. Like I think of a kid going to college and going somewhere, new life, new things, everything is just new. However, there's a lot of value to that, a lot of learning and kairos, like this just new life is waiting to be found there. But there is an element of letting go, from the parents' point of view. They can go there and do their thing, and you need to trust. And the way you do that is hopefully that in the process before they got to there, and also across their life, but that kind of nested identity was present and available to them. It's not like something that they let go and just divorce, and it's something that's alive, and that hopefully they see in the way, through the way that we live. That's not only about that we're not just these individuals completely separated from any other layer. So I hope to be able to share that sense of texture and depth of the world, that there's more layers to things, and that can be shown practically, not because I'm explaining this very complicated thing with big words. It's just because the neighbors come along.
We're only allowed to have this size of a word.
Indeed.
Oh my god. So I got from you like a clarity of purpose. It's like, because I think you mentioned like being overwhelmed in a way, right? Like it's a lot. um, and I think connecting that to the clarity of purpose, that is the way that you're able to get through, right? Because the things that are important are clear. You don't have to know in advance, right? Like you can kind of do it on the fly. You know who you are, what you want, right? And that well, the yoke is light, right? Like you said, that relieves a lot of the burden that you're carrying. And I want to ask you to expand on that and connect that maybe to previous stages of your life and whether you had that
Yeah.
and how that's different now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. In a way, it is very present to me, like that the stakes are just very high. Uh, like the and I don't know if I'm so overwhelmed into a sense that I'm acting fight or flight. I don't think I'm there, and thankfully. But it is very clear to me, like looking at examples of families growing apart and families that stay together, and it's I've seen that pattern go wrong many times, and it's like, okay, what are the ingredients that need to be in place so that we can make it most conducive to harmonious and reciprocal um, growth. That's been the kind of purpose, and that's been very helpful. And that how is it different from different moments in my life? It feels like a so I guess the past parts of my life, I've been very purposeful, thankfully. Like that, I think there's little there are little things in your life that are as much of a blessing as real need. I've had the big blessing of having present needs in my life due to leaving. Since I tell this to my wife, and it's very strange, but I tell her, like ever since I don't know, I was in high school, I was 14 or something, and I knew that I had to be an engineer or a doctor and be worth a damn, because otherwise I would not be able to leave the country and be successful somewhere and be able to establish myself. And if I didn't have a profession that allowed me to be worth a damn, that plan was gonna fall flat. And that's like that's very that's been just commonplace, and it's not only me. It's not that I'm a very special cookie. It's my generation there. Like the environment was just required. Like yeah, like it's obviously not gonna go end well here, so we need to find something else. And that was really good because yeah, I had very clear motivation going to school and going through life, and then finding personal that's allowed me to be very kind of, I would say, optimistic, but also realistic and practical, and like what's the next thing going to look like. And I guess now the dimension that's unfolding to me and it's new, it's like, okay, I have the well, it's a bit silly to say it. It's like the cards were only affected me. It's not that I had controls over the cards, because I feel very grateful, and so many things have been given to me that are not my fault. It's just been like blessings have been showered upon me. So I am very I try to be very aware of that. But now the cards affect a larger group of people, and it's a very real group of people that have a lot of texture and whose lives are directly affected by my choices, and that kind of has given an extra layer of responsibility, but it has also deepened the meaning and the purpose, and it's been lovely. Like getting when my kid was born, everything, absolutely everything that I was doing, like the most menial things, and they just gain a level of extra depth and meaning, and there's a reason to do this thing. Just like going, you know, to a string of silly meetings that maybe didn't have too much of a purpose at work, for example. It's like, no, there's a reason. There's this newfound energy to like why I'm doing this, and there's all these good reasons that this is important, and that I need to show the pattern, and that it's just, and it kind of, indeed, it's like a, I wouldn't say, I don't know if I adopted the mantle of the mantle was just tossed over my head and I was wrapped into it, captive into it. But it's been a very, very, very warm cloak. It's been a lovely, a lovely experience that's been kind of given the world so much extra texture in the best sense possible. Like that's been lovely to experience. Um, so it gives me also many, many good reasons to get my shit together. That's really been very, very present.
So, in a way, what you were talking about was a really earthly perspective, driven by necessity.
Yeah.
So, is there a way for you to bring that together with your purpose under God,
Yep.
or are those like separate tracks for you?
So I think um, so. It's maybe it sounds very ridiculous, but it's I the spiritual has had a kind of feminine like relationship or a kind of pattern in my life, so to say. It's been like the environment and the variables are available to me have been examples and things in faith have been like beacons of that I can latch onto. It's been um, and I try to be very aware that so many things are not due to my own doings. So that's been present to me all throughout my life. Even before I converted, I was thankfully never so self-absorbed that I was like, this is all due to me. Thankfully, so and now it's been way more explicit for me. It's been like, okay, how can I submit? How can I be a student? How can I be a catechumen in a way? How can I learn? And that's been in practice, like literally, how can I want to learn more about saints' lives. I want to learn about holy people. What do holy people do? What have they done? Why were they holy? And how's that echo in what I can is available to me in the church, in my relationships, with my family, direct, indirect, and can those examples be echoed? What can I? Can those patterns live in me? And so I've been trying to invite them, so a little bit more explicitly lately, and that's been just very salutary. That's been very, very good. And it helps that I'm just a golden retriever in many senses. I'm not easily scared. I'm not. Yeah, I welcome change. I don't fear many things. I was told not to fear. I have no good reason to fear. So that's yeah, just
Didn't
available.
we talk about pride? Like, I think I remember we had a
It's not my it's not like I don't completely decide the direction of my life. I just need to accept it. So that's been. It's not my
I'm a
problem.
golden retriever, but I have an issue with pride. uh, well, what a year can do to you, man. Like,
Indeed, indeed, indeed. No, it's been lovely.
because you remember, right? Like the talk and the struggle you were having.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, you can look up that video. It's on my
yeah,
channel.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. No, indeed, yeah.
so um, so it feels to me that like the weight. I think glory is also translated as weight, weighty.
Mm,
Um, uh-huh. That carrying that weight is filling in the life. right? It's like the thing that I have uh, in front of me is like, well, maybe it's like leavening bread. Maybe that's the best example, right? Where the thing grows and it hosts spirit, right? And there's like a multiplicity uh, where there was, yeah, like it seemed flat, right? And like I've been associating the leavening of the bread between the separation of the waters from the waters, right? And the establishment of the firmament, right? So the firmament is like the space in which things happen, in which things get created, in which things have life. Um, and so I want to draw that back to the spiritual, right? So the weight gives a space for things to be alive to you. Maybe that's the best way to say it. Does that make
Can you
sense?
repeat that?
That the weight
Mm-hmm.
of the responsibility um, creates the space for things to be alive to you,
Yeah.
and so I also see that as like a means of having connection, right? But not a one-to-one connection, but a vivid one.
Indeed. No, indeed. There's this there's an affordance, right? That it just presents and it becomes available to you. Like there's the lens through which I can um look at the situation and the person or the my path or work, anything really that just like, okay, if I put these glasses on, it's suddenly it's very rich and there's a path and there's a way in which I can act that will bring me up or bring me down. And there's also the it's funny because it's after, so not only can you look through the lens, but you can also, and it's very meta, but you can be aware that you are now afforded this lens. And you can see at you owning those glasses, it's like, oh wow, what a blessing it is that those glasses are now available to me. Because whilst I was before unmoored and not knowing where I was going and not knowing if I was going out of my own um, stubbornness or idea of what it's supposed to be, now there's this way of relating to the world and to people in my world that gives me kind of at least more optimal grip. It's not necessarily that it's going to be the grip, but it's indeed better than. It's a great frame through which to look towards things. And
Well, let me blow your mind. Why don't we change the word grip to embedding?
mhm, betting, yeah, positioning, like being part of.
Well, no, like embedding, right? Like when you go to sleep,
Mhm,
um, you nestle yourself on your mattress,
yeah,
and then you cover yourself with the blanket, right? Um, in other words, right? And you're in your house. You're in the secret room in your house that is private, right? Um, so there's a whole host of things that connect to being embedded, right? That are not about you, not about you reaching out, but the
mhm,
way that you are gripped, you are held by the world.
yeah,
You're upheld,
mhm,
um, but also you're you're also hold held down, right? To go back to the pride thing,
yeah,
it also holds you down, right? So it has this uh, bifurcated thing, right, where
yeah.
you're
It's
fully supported.
constraining. It's constraining, but it is, and that has with the implications of it. It puts you in a place maybe you were not anywhere before, but it of course limits. And yeah, but yeah, I've been. It's funny because not only have I felt more embedded in the past time, but I've also felt um, helped, just just like in a loving sense, just helped, just like embraced, and that's been very um beautiful to be able to latch onto, and like I would be aware of. It's like, oh, okay, like there's all these things that are now given me, and like that's it's been very good to. So when I in the moments where I get notice that and go back to it, I it's very easy to feel grateful for just, yeah. So and then when I'm in that kind of mentality, um that just makes everything better. Just I can, yeah, there's so much more to just, yeah, I'm way tougher cookie in that sense. Very little things rock me. They cannot fake me as they would otherwise be. Yeah, would.
So I was trying to figure out why is he using the word embrace. So I write it down, and I just see the word brace, right? And I'm like, oh, right, like you're braced. That means that you're prevented from moving, right?
Mm.
So when you're embraced, like you're held upright in a manner, right, that you don't fall over,
Yeah,
like um so so yeah, like and so the gratitude is in the way that I see you is like you have these connections, right? and and even if one falls away because of there's like the multiplicity of connections, you don't stumble, right? Like there's you're being held upright by everything, right, in its wholeness, and it's not the sum of its part, right? Like it's the parts are in some sense um, in the background, right? And what they do for you is is something new, right? Like something additional in a way, right? Like they allow you to be in that new manner.
yeah, yeah, and it's um, it just it helps focus on. It just changes your perspective, man. It makes so many other things salient and so much crap not salient. So that you can just get rid of so much junk and so much unnecessary fluff, and just remember. And then I think, okay, can I? Is there a way that I can do that for someone? So can I embrace in a way that is, can I embrace someone in a way that gives them that, so love, and a love that is compassionate of both their current state and their potential state, and what they could be, and how this, you know parenting is so much correcting. Parenting. It's like, okay, how strict are you gonna be? And but can it be born, and can you start with the embrace, and then maybe before you fix the dike that broke and the practical things that need to be done, can you tend to the child first, and show that pattern of warmth first, and can that be the leading thing? And then the other things will follow, and they will fall in their place, but they need to start with the right thing.
Yeah, if you ever need someone to carry this stick, I'm really good at carrying sticks.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, well, we'll see in a couple of years. All right, like we just noticed a year, in a year a lot can happen. Um, so you said you were talking about the rich glasses, right? Um, and I want to like point back at the way that God looks at you, right, or maybe through you or in you, right? And so this richness of the glasses actually seems like an indication of what God the Father would be looking for, right? That there's the desire, right, for that richness in his son's life, um, and even more so, right, is like that there's a level of independence,
Yeah,
right, where the the child has that in them instead of that he needs to knock on the door every time like, daddy, can you get me a glass of milk?
yeah, yeah, and that there's indeed the kind of you want the kid to be able to adopt the mask, right, on their own initiative,
Mm,
and then they will do different things, right? It will shape them differently than it would their sister or their brother or their mother. Um, but can Yeah, and I think there would be that's a really good point. It's like if I could give something to my child, it would be the capability of seeing the richness of life, and being able to find um
the
because
path.
because I'm not gonna have much control about so many things. It's gonna be an effort, also an exercise in letting go. But wherever they go, I wish for them, that pair of glasses.
Right. So like I want to introduce the idea of the soul, right? So the glasses would be m- I'm just speculating now, right? But like a sensitivity for the soul, right? And um, the urgency of having to care for the soul, not only your own, right, but the soul
Mhm.
of those around you, and and that when we're seeking to serve that soul, right, to to have that soul uh, worshiping God, right, um, then from there, right, like the other things, right, like will be fruits effectively, right, like they will just
Yeah,
wherever they are planted, right,
yeah,
they will flourish. They will be for signs and wonders.
yeah, yeah, and that's tough. That's I mean that's a whole. You know, of course there is. I think now of just like what does it mean to be, a Christian father, and how, of course, that is going to do a certain number of things that are specific, that are particular, and maybe perhaps different than other people and other men in the life of the child. That maybe there's just different pattern of behaviors, or maybe the same, the good ones. Hopefully, I also echoed. Um, but I think back of my own upbringing, and that was not really there, in the sense that there was not someone in my life explicitly trying for me to live a Christian life. Well, I cannot completely say that was not there yet. Maybe that did plant the seeds, eventually. But in my pride, I really wanted to be the one so planting and sowing them and having it see be done. It's just and when that happened, there's so it's
You
weird. I don't
grim-
know how to do that. Sorry.
you were the Grim Reaper.
Indeed, yeah. I am my side. Yeah. It's I don't know. I've seen that go bad so much, like and stealing dogma. If we're just clumsy and bad at it, like it can just that's a little bit. I think we're seeing a lot of examples of that generating just rebellion for the sake of rebellion, right? So um, I I hope that I can also show the incredible, yeah, courage of being faithful, and that's because I think many people you can have an idea of someone that's faithful, that like they're very pious and very mild and meek, but I think it's the accepting, it's knowing that the world is completely like lost to the earth, and yet keeping faith. It's in the face of that faith is in itself an act of rebellion and an act of courage and an act of something that is worthy of emulation. And can we?
Boldness.
Yeah, it's bold indeed. And can that be something cool? It's can I make it cool? It's very hard. I don't know, but I hope so. But I know that if it's not cool, it's not gonna stick. So
That's funny. So yeah, the thing that percolated up is like there's a path, right? Bringing is a path uh, with certain milestones on the side, um, and I was thinking, right, is like the right way to walk the path is to preempt trouble at the next station,
Mhm.
right? So if you plow the fields, right, if you prepare the way, then when you enter the troublesome stage, right, you have the tools, right? So if you have an obedient child, right, and they enter a rebellious phase, right, it doesn't mean that they don't enter the rebellious phase, right, but they are manageable, right?
Yeah,
If you don't have that preparation and you're just faced with the reality of that phase, then like all you're going to be doing is damage control,
yeah,
right? And so in some sense you always want to be one step ahead, right?
yeah,
And like um, one way to be one step ahead is to lead by the hand, right? But another way to be one step ahead is to know where ahead is, right? And what is necessary at that place. And also, right, like you were saying, you want to surround yourself, right, with an echo examples, right? And you were talking about examples of the saints, but I think having more direct examples in your life, right, where people can or your children can experience behaviors, ways of being
yeah,
of all ages, right? Um, will give them pathways, affordances, right, to process the things that they encounter,
yeah,
especially during growing up. Right, later on you can outsource that to them, but in the growing up process, like you need to hold their hands.
yeah, yeah. Indeed, there needs to be a rich cast of characters, right? That you think are worth a damn. Again, not what I think, but yeah, I'm trying to loosen on what I think. I want to give that less importance. Just let it kind of going with yeah, just letting intuition do its thing and accept a vision of that's not mine. So, but yeah, indeed, I think that's it's practical when it's someone that they can see and they need to be able to see those lives be lived and the different people that can do it and what are good things that people do. I agree. So yeah, the kids need to go to church at some point. They need to see other people. Yeah, yeah. That's,
Maybe that's also kind of what a pilgrimage is, right? Or like a function of a pilgrimage. Because I was thinking back to the idea of going on holidays, right? It's like, well, let's go and see that nice place or whatever. It's like, no, like, why don't you go to have an experience, right? To have a, a building stone that you can't find at home, right? So when you start integrating all of these aspects of your lives, right, like that they to go back to the real start, the story, right, the flesh on the bones, where you provide them with the chapters of the story, right, and so like everything becomes one story, right, like everything partakes in this one story instead of, oh, we have the story of school and then we have holidays, right? It's like, okay, so we have me at school where I'm like putting my head down, and then I have me without responsibility.
mhm,
It's like, no, that's not the way it is, right? There should be some freedom in the school time, and there should be responsibility in the holidays, right? Not in the right manner, right? But like you said, in the manner of Sunday, right? In
mhm,
the manner of going to church, right? Where we place ourselves in creation, right? We understand ourselves in creation. We take what we've done in the creation and offer it up, right? And we get fed so that we can do work.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, and we can yeah, and it should not be Sims. Not be, yeah, that's it's it's so important to get that kind of outer view and being traveled is gaining cloaks of other people and how they did things and why they were successful or conquered or conquerors. And it's being and inhabiting their cities. How do they live? And what does that mean for how I live? And can that be? Yeah, I hope so, man. I hope I can do a little bit to guide and steer that. But I indeed I think there's a virtue and a practice and a number of strategies for it that are not obvious and that I guess I guess the second kid or the third kid will get it a bit more optimized than the first.
but that's where you need to have faith, right? Like they're not obvious because you're not there, right?
Yeah,
They will be revealed
I
if
hope so.
you
Yeah.
walk the path accordingly, right? And I was just thinking about like what's a pilgrimage?
Mm,
Well, you're walking the path that many have walked before you towards a
mm,
destination, right? That is holy, right?
yeah.
And so you're sharing in their experience, right? Like you're literally walking in the footsteps of your ancestors,
Yeah.
right? And you can walk that path and not have eyes to see, not attend to the meaning, and not have it affect you, right? You can walk that path and honor that, right? And be fed by it and be nourished, be changed, right? And so like I'm just trying to highlight again the right spirit, right? Well, like we need to cultivate the right spirit in these rituals, right? Because if we don't have that spirit, then we are missing the mark, right? We're not participating in the purpose of the activity that we are doing.
Yeah, 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 and it's a good thing to pray for, to have the attentiveness to listen and to find and see what pattern is screaming out to be further elaborated on. So indeed, yeah, that's a great thing to strive for, my friend.
So, yeah, do you have something you want to add? I have an interesting closing.
um, no, I think it's yeah, it's I will continue. So kind of for me, the kind of summary of how this experience has been going and what's helped me, and I will try to continue to do as much as possible, is to kind of just think of God the Father. How is He a father, and how's that look like? And what's the pattern of God as a father? And that there's a lot of letting go in there, but there's also a lot of commanding. There's a equilibrium somewhere, but it starts with the right fundament, and the foundation is love, and that's like, okay, can I allow that pattern to live in me, and hopefully, maybe now, because I'm just a rookie and very ignorant and very new to everything, it's going to be a clumsy start to it, but I will try to let it inhabit me egoistically, hopefully. Yeah. That would be great.
Well, the Father also is, right? And just the fact that He is has a bunch of consequences, right? And those are rules, right? Like they're rules of His creation, right? And so how does He communicate them? Well, like in some sense he doesn't, right? They just are,
Mhm.
right? And we need to find a way to honor our parents, right?
Mhm.
um and so, are you dictating the rules, or are you reminding people of them?
Yeah.
Because right, and so these approaches, right, they give a different attitude, right? Like, is God the Father a tyrant that runs behind you with a stick and nukes Sodom and Gomorrah, right? Or is God, um
The father that received the prodigal son. Yeah. Mhm.
right, but also the Father who has provided, right? um and it's up to you to accept that provision, that gift, that salvation that He has for you, that's already present, right? So that's like
Yeah.
the left eye and the right eye. Like, which can you wear the eye of hope? um
Mhm.
um can right, can you get the child to participate in the spirit of the desire of the Father, instead of as the tyrant that is refusing their ego to do whatever the ego wants to do, right? Because it's the same thing, right? It's just other sides of the coin, right?
Yeah.
Are you drowned under the water and you're looking up at the surface, or are you walking on the water with Christ?
No.
So, um here's my closure for you. The perspective of the grandfather,
Mhm.
right? Because that's also like, I guess the fulfillment of fatherhood is becoming grandfather, um, and taking putting your mask in that closet, or or becoming that star in the heavens that will forever light the path of your family.
It's great for pride. I will be a star.
No,
Cannot go
like
wrong. This.
dude, it's not pride, it's a weight. It's a responsibility. It will fill up your life with meaning. like you've just not like related to the greatness that you ought to relate to. The weight of the responsibility, like you're the father of the generations, just like Abraham. You need to
Yeah.
walk in his footsteps.
Yeah, man. Yeah, yeah. That's no small feat, indeed. Yeah.
But yeah, do you have a sense of what your desire would be, like at the fulfillment, I guess, right? um
Yeah. Um. Well, that's something I can continue to pray for. Really is. No, seriously. It's just like, can I have the right desires? Just I give myself the reins. It doesn't go the right direction. So it's and yeah, I'm trying to accept that as, yeah, via participating and participation in ritual, and that's been amazing of the Catholic Church. By the way, it's just been great to be part of the liturgy and just kind of do the things in the order, and just also accepting great gift that is Christ in you, and let it literally be in you. And that's, can that help me see through the life, and the body, and the vision and the spirit of God. Can I try to approximate, not through my own strength, but by letting Him do His thing. So that's been great, and I've not missed. The sermons suck, and I have not missed a thing. I don't feel like I'm missing anything. It's been great. It's been amazing. I can just let it be what it is, and it's really good. So I'm very
so
grateful.
I found another perspective, right? Because you're not only a physical father, you're also a spiritual father. Um, so is there other areas of your life where that father role has shown its head?
Yeah, it's I think we've talked about it today. It's There's the one that establishes the structure, and that makes the builds the house, and make sure there's also food in the house, but also a structure to the house. But there's the with what mentality do we live in the house, and what is our kind of, yeah, kind of our purpose, and are we being purposeful, and are we being, with what attitude am I approximating life, and can I make that implicitly obvious, that it's not like, doesn't need to be preached, it needs just to be shown. um and yeah, there are, that is an invitation also to live in a particular way and do very particular things, and that means to submit and to do things um that are not my ideas. It's just like, okay, I will accept someone else's and just try to live it, and then see how we go. Ah.
And that's how you become a guest on on the video.
Great, great. Oh man, thanks. This was really fun.
Yeah. So everybody, thanks for watching. Um, I hope this has been a fathering experience for you guys. And obviously, leave your comments because we'd like to know what this brought for you. And if there's any additions, right? Always good to learn more. So yeah, thanks for watching. And see you on the next
Cheers.
time.